Hello again. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Jason McNeil, and this is Cup of Joe Canada. Now, today on the show, we're going to talk about freedom of speech, and frankly, I mean, that's what the show's about, right? At the end of the day, it's about me and whoever wants to come on having the freedom to say, what it is they feel and make logical, rational arguments, regardless of how, emotional I may feel about it. Freedom of speech is a very important thing in my mind. It's what makes our democracy worth fighting for. So the reason I want to discuss this is because I do feel like it's under attack a little bit. Like already from the jump, I feel like, okay, in Canada, we have an idea of freedom of speech, and it's substantially more mild than what they do in America, right? Americans and freedom of speech is a lot more near and dear to the heart. It's a lot more tried and true, and this is American as apple pie and all that stuff. Now, again, I'm not saying that they are the model that we should follow. What I am saying is that I see in Canada, because of possibly emotional issues or because of people not wanting to be offended or whatever, it seems like we're slowly muzzling people, and it's an alarming trend for me. Now, we touched on it in an episode a month back or a couple months back when we were talking about Jordan Peterson, right, on the U of T campus, and he was talking about the gender identity and the preferred pronouns, all that type of stuff. And there's an issue at the heart of it of free speech. Am I allowed to say what I think? Am I allowed to have an opinion on social issues? Am I allowed to share that opinion? Now, I would say it's gone a step further. Recently in the news, I don't know if you've heard, but Mary Heinen, the defense attorney for Jian Ghomeshi, she was supposed to go around and she was supposed to speak at some universities, and there's a protest. There's a lot of people that are like, she shouldn't be allowed to speak, right? It's going to traumatize people. It's insane to me to think this, but that's the argument of her, that her speaking, because people will associate her with that trial and with the guy getting off, it may traumatize them. It may traumatize victims of sexual assault. Now, it's not even what she says at that point, right? It's just who she is, who we perceive her to be, and what that represents to us means she should not be allowed to speak. Now, keeping in mind, she's a defense attorney. What she did was she went and provided a service that we as a society ask her to provide. Because we as a society say you're innocent till proven guilty. And now there's people that are like, but wait a minute, since she provided that service, she's disqualified from speaking in public? I'm sorry, like I don't like to be an alarmist, but if that doesn't scare the hell out of people, I don't know what does. Right? You're taking a person that just did their job. Now, add to that, from my perspective, this is a university campus she's speaking at. She's an accomplished, successful woman in the industry of law who has a unique perspective on law, on crime, on how the system works or maybe doesn't work for women. She's a woman. But all of that is disqualified because I don't like what she said during this trial. I don't like the way she did this. It's not her fault. It's not her fault that the prosecution did not prepare the ladies for the trial. It's not her fault that the ladies at the trial lied. It's not her fault that... None of it is her fault. She just did her job. You want to disqualify her from speaking, and subsequently, you sort of do yourself a disservice because you don't get to hear this perspective. You don't get to hear about the unique view that she's coming from as a person who defended someone who was on sexual assault charges. And she happens to be a female who I'm sure advocates victims' rights. Let's be honest, right? So why you would want to silence her outside of just, emotionally, we all need safe spaces. We're back to that safe spaces thing. It's beyond me. And why it wouldn't be considered like an egregious injustice to say you can't speak here. Now, she's not the only one, and neither is Jordan Peterson. I've heard numerous accounts recently where people try to ban people from entering Canada because you don't like what they say. You don't like their views. Here's the thing. They're just opinions. And if the person is making a stupid argument or has a bigoted view, we can logically, rationally, and reasonably argue against it. There's platforms for us to protest things. We don't have to shut people up, right? Think about it. When you talk about abortion, right? It's like men should shut up because they don't have wombs and they can't control my womb. When you talk about racism, a lot of people think white people should shut up because you don't know what it's like to be marginalized by society. You know what I mean? There's multiple religion from both sides, right? Non-religious people say, you know what, you believe in a sky fairy, you should shut up because you're not logical. And then the religious people are like, well, you don't understand religion or why we believe these things, so you should just leave me alone to live my life and you should shut up. No. You know what? The problem is we don't understand each other. And we won't understand each other unless we speak. Speak up, right? White people speak on racism because at the end of the day, you're involved and racism affects you. Racism affects us all. Abortion affects us all, right? Every issue that government has on the table, on the agenda, affects us all. And I'm sick of hearing people say the opposite view is bigoted, it's racist, it's sexist, it just shouldn't be allowed to speak. It should, definitely. Look, I have views that are very passionate. I don't want only people who think like me to speak. I want other people to speak. I have had conversations where my mind has changed in my life. Have you not? Don't you ever speak to someone and be like, wow, I never thought of it that way? You know what I mean? This is what freedom of speech is. And we need to make sure that it continues. Another concern that I have is media. Because I feel like media kind of lazily tries to paint people into corners, heroes and villains and stuff. And I guess by sort of association, they marginalize people, right? Media reported that Donald Trump is just like Rob Ford. They reported that Rob Ford is a racist and a sexist, and they marginalized people. If you vote for Rob Ford, what does that mean? Does it mean that, no, it means that you just are an ideologue and you hate women or you hate, you hate minorities. Same thing with Donald Trump, right? They do it. So, okay, he's just like him. So if I'm voting for Donald Trump, it doesn't matter why, I'm a racist, so I should shut up. And you're shutting down whole segments of society and telling them we don't want to hear from you because we're just going to paint this picture of you. You know what I mean? And it's only a small portion of what's going on. There's a lot of valid views out there. And even the invalid views, we need to hear them and we need to, listen and explain why that's invalid, right? Again, I'll get back to what I said in a previous video. When people are like, oh, you know what? How do I explain to my kids that Rob Ford said pussy on TV? Maybe you just grow up and explain it, right? Maybe there's a lot of nasty, terrible, dirty things going on in the world that we just gloss over. Like it's not even happening. And maybe we should start to explain them. And when we can't explain them, maybe we should try to fix them. Instead of waiting until they bubble over and then we're like, oh, well, what am I going to tell my kids? I'm going to tell my kids, you know what atrocities are going on in the world that no one cares about? You know what I mean? So, this guy's a racist, that guy's a sexist. These are small things, man. We have serious issues to be concerned about. And we have, people that feel they're being ignored. If we look at the American election, you had a population of people that were being ignored or felt they were being ignored, and they started to support Donald Trump. And what did the media do? They continued to ignore them. They said, well, Donald Trump is he's looking for racist votes. He's looking for sexist votes. So those people still didn't have a voice, right? Women that voted for Donald Trump, are they sexist? Do they hate women? Or do they have a voice that you don't want to listen to, right? Mexican Americans that voted for Donald Trump, same deal, right? They have a voice and you can't ignore it. You got to let them speak too. They're the minority. It's the minority of women, the minority of college-educated people, the minority of Mexican Americans, minority of black people, but they still have a voice. And it's not just, hey, they're on board with the racist white folks, right? So again, freedom of speech, it means you have to be allowed to speak. And when people speak, let's not just pigeonhole it and be like, well, that statement's a gotcha thing. And we're going to take it and we're going to make you a racist. We're going to make you a sexist or a bigot or a religious zealot, right? BDS, have you heard of this movement? Both sides are basically argued exclusively as though the other side is just completely racist and should shut up, right? If you support the BDS movement against Israel, it means that you're a racist against the Jewish people and you should shut up because you just hate Jewish people and you're anti-Semitic. But if you're anti-it, it means that, well, you just hate Palestinian people and you hate Muslims and you just don't care about atrocities. Neither one of these sides wants to make a positive argument. Neither one feels they can, right? It's just, I need to shut down freedom of speech on the other side. I need to disqualify whatever people disagree with me. And frankly, it's nonsense. I'll tell you, here, it won't go down. You can come on here, you can say what you want. We'll challenge it. Believe we'll challenge it. You come on here, you say what you want. You know what I mean? That's just me, Cup of Joe Canada, Jason McNeil. As always, I'd love to know how you guys feel. You know, is freedom of speech, is it something we need to defend? Is it under attack? Is it, are we becoming a PC culture? You know what I mean? The whole Donald Trump thing, is it coming to Canada? The whole, you know, alt-right movement perpetuated by the media, is it a problem here? Or are we better than that? I don't know. I want to hear how you think. You can always get me on Twitter at Cup of Joe Canada. You can email me at averagejoe@cupofjoecanada.com.